Hey everyone! Today we're going to build a map, but not for any place you can find in an atlas. This is a map for an idea. It's a clear step-by-step guide that can help take pretty much any concept from just a little spark of inspiration and turn it into a real-world success. So let's get into it.
It's the question that everyone from a startup founder to a project manager asks themselves. You've got this brilliant spark, right? This potentially game-changing concept. But then what? What actually happens next? How do you get from that amazing aha moment to a finished thing that actually works? Because let's be honest, without a clear path, you just get, you get chaos. We've all been there, right? Projects that just spiral out of control, deadlines that seem to just disappear into thin air. And that brilliant idea you started with, it gets completely lost in all the noise. See, a great idea is just not enough. You have to have a great process. And that's exactly the solution we're going to map out today. The HARM0NI, that's HARM0NI, project route. Think of it as that structured map we've been talking about, designed to bring some much-needed order to that chaos and guide any project, big or small, from start to finish. So what is it really? Well, the HARM0NI route is a disciplined, cyclical process. And those two words are key. It guides every single project from its initial concept all the way to a state of continuous improvement. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but this isn't just some boring checklist to tick off. It's more like a rhythm for success. And today, we're going to build this map together, step by step.
Okay, so before we even get to step one, we have to talk about the foundation. The source material calls this the golden thread of governance and accountability. I want you to imagine this thread, kind of like you see here, being woven through every single phase of the project. This is what makes sure there are clear rules for starting and stopping, that everyone knows exactly what their role is, and that there's consistent oversight. It's the bedrock, really, that keeps the entire thing from falling apart.
All right, so with that foundation firmly in place, let's jump into the first two phases. This is that critical measure twice, cut once part of the whole thing. It is all about syncing and planning before a single thing gets built.
So phase one, intake and definition. What's the goal here? Simple. To answer the most fundamental questions. What is it we're actually building? Why are we building it? And maybe most importantly, where are the boundaries? The biggest mistake teams make is just blowing right past this step. But getting this right from the jump means everyone is on the exact same page from day one. No confusion, just crystal clear clarity. So from there, we move right into phase two, design and planning. Now, if phase one was all about defining the what, phase two is all about figuring out the how. And that word on the slide there, collaborative, that is so important. This is not a plan that's just handed down from on high. It's a blueprint that's built with the team. It answers all the tough questions like, how are we going to build this? And what do we need to pull it off? This is where that abstract idea really starts to get its skeleton.
And there you have it. That's the start of our map. You can see the first two stages laid out right here. The source material uses this blue color to represent these thinking and planning phases. This is that solid foundation that everything else is going to be built on. Okay, so our blueprint is done. Now it's time for some action. This next section is where the idea really starts to take shape, where we finally move from all that planning to actually doing. This is the creation and review part of the journey.
Which brings us to phase three, execution and build. This is the green light. This is where the team rolls up their sleeves and actually starts building the thing. But the key word here is transparency. The worst thing that can happen is for the team to just go dark. A transparent build process with really clear progress tracking avoids all those nasty surprises and keeps everyone perfectly aligned.
And right on the heels of building comes this super critical check. Phase 4, validation and review. The goal here is to rigorously, and I mean rigorously, check the work against the original requirements that we defined way back in phase 1. You can think of this orange phase as quality control. It's designed to catch issues early and make sure that what got built is what was actually asked for. It's a real moment of truth.
So let's update our map. You can see how we've now added the green action phase and the orange review phase right into our flow. We're making this clear progression from planning to doing to checking. See how each step just logically builds right on top of the last one? So we've planned it, we've built it, and we've checked it. Now comes the part everyone's been waiting for. The most exciting part. Taking our idea and introducing it to the real world. This is the payoff. This is the deployment and iteration stage. So phase 5, deployment and monitoring. This is the launch. But, the goal isn't just to shove it out the door. It's about a responsible release, which is then followed by carefully monitoring how it's performing and what kind of impact it's having. Because launching isn't the end of the journey. Really, it's the beginning of a whole new one. And that leads us to our final and maybe the most vital phase of all, iteration and learning. The whole point here is to gather up all that incredibly valuable feedback and real-world data from the project we just launched. And why do we do that? To inform the next cycle of improvements. This right here, this is the engine of continuous growth. And here it is, the complete HARM0NI road. Our map is finally finished. We've gone all the way from intake to learning. But look really closely at the most important part of this whole diagram. See that arrow, the one looping from step 6 right back to the very beginning? That's because this isn't a straight line. It's a continuous cycle where every single lesson we learn just fuels the next great idea. There's this one quote from the source material that just captures the entire essence of this process perfectly. It says, "Every idea moves through the same disciplined rhythm. Define clearly, plan collaboratively, build transparently, check rigorously, deploy responsibly, and learn continuously." That's the whole philosophy in one powerful sentence. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. The process doesn't end. It evolves. The HARM0NI route isn't about creating some static, finished product that you just walk away from. It's about creating a living, breathing, learning system for all of your projects. And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. As you look at this clear, cyclical map, how could this disciplined rhythm transform your next big idea? Thanks for joining me for this one.